I'm Brad Lamack. We're in Los Angeles talking about inside the business of acting. With us, award-winning actor Hal Linden. And it's just so wonderful to have you here. We talk about, of course, on this series of programs, career journeys, lessons learned along the way for actors who want to be in the business, actors who are in the business, and for fans who are just interested in how all of this comes together. Thank you very much for joining us here again for segment 2. So we have something in common.
Tell me.
Cape Cod Melody Tent, Hyannis, Massachusetts.
Lord.
I'm from Boston.
Cape Cod Melody Tent. That was my debut.
I know it was.
That's the first step I ever put on the stage.
1955.
55. Yeah.
I used to
Wow.
see everything in Hyannis at the Cape Cod Melody Tent.
That was, you're talking about training.
Yeah.
We did, my very first job, we did 10 musicals in 12 weeks. 10
Really?
complete musicals in 12 weeks.
How?
How? You rehearsed all day and you did a show at night.
Mm.
And they got it on 1 week. Well, I'm sure they hired people who did the leads to do, who knew the parts and everything like that. And it was only us chorus kids who were, pushed around to create the rest of the show. But imagine learning 10 shows in 12 weeks.
You remember what any of them were?
Oh, the best. The best.
Yeah.
Guys and Dolls, South Pacific.
Oh, all the
Annie
greats.
Gets Your Gun. Oh, Wish You Were Here. Carousel.
Yeah.
I mean, the best.
The shows that define Broadway
Yes.
musicals. Yeah.
In one summer.
Yeah.
And that was my first step on a Broadway, on any kind of stage.
Do you recall a sense of having achieved or gone through a turning point in your career at that point by getting that job?
First of all, we got to get there.
Yes.
Because there was an immense turning point before I ever got there. I went to the High School of Music and Art as a musician. I was a clarinet player.
New York.
Legitimate clarinet player. My contemporaries, who played just as well as I did, peopled all the symphonies around the country. I ended up playing a little saxophone later and then singing with bands. I sang with, I'll name bands you never heard of. Bobby Sherwood, Ray McKinley. It wasn't Count Basie, but they were big bands. And I was a saxophone player and singer with them. And I went to the High School of Music and Art, Queens College and City College, all of whom had excellent theater departments. Never set foot in one of them.
Never?
Never.
Why?
Had no interest in it. I was a saxophone player.
Right.
I didn't even go to the theater. I lived in New York. I didn't even go to the theater.
Oh, Hal.
Nothing. Zero. In those days, they had the draft. This was Korean War. I was drafted after college and got into a band. I played marches and played the service club on the weekends and the officers club, and I sang with the bands, and I was very adept at that by then. So we had a piano player who used to get borrowed by special services every so often to do shows. And, he played for me at night when I sang, and, So he said to me one day, he said, listen, I'm going to do another show, and they've been borrowing me. Maybe you want to sing a song? I'll have them borrow you too. I said, sure, why not? Sounds like fun. Now I'm telling you, if he had not suggested it to me, I never would have suggested it to him.
Really?
I was going to go back to the music business. I was very good. I knew I could make a living at it. Didn't occur to me. He took me along. I went on the show. They gave me a number to sing, and we did first time in my life I ever stood on the stage without a saxophone hanging around my neck singing.
Scared?
No.
Comfortable?
As a matter of fact, they gave me a sketch, and they said, we need you to play the father, I looked at it, and I walked down on the stage and said my first line and got a laugh.
Wow.
That's pretty heady.
Felt good.
And I said, ooh, this feels nice. Now, what if that guy had never asked me to do it?
Where would you be?
Playing the saxophone somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
So, really
there was quite
significant
a few
turning
turning
point.
points.
Significant turning point.
I went, used my GI Bill, went to the American Theater Wing, and peeked over somebody's shoulder and found that there was, I didn't even know enough to buy Showbiz. I looked over somebody's shoulder. There were the summer stock auditions coming up, and I wrote it down. I went up, sang, got a job. That was Cape Cod Melody.
Wow.
And that's fun.
So there has to be a role at some, I mean, if you believe in fate at any level.
My whole career is dotted with incredible luck. Incredible luck. A lot of disappointments, but a lot of incredible luck.
How do you balance, when I teach my kids, we talk a lot about, I call it emotional fitness, which really speaks to exactly what you just said. It speaks to embracing the fortunes of fate, the luck, and opportunity, but also not, how do you handle the times when that doesn't happen, the disappointments? I mean, how have you managed to do that?
First of all, you have to have some degree of confidence in what you do. And that doesn't always come right away. To me, it took a long time. I was very adept at music. I was very adept at singing, but I was a little unsure of myself when it came to reading lines and being somebody else.
The acting stuff.
The acting stuff. That took a while. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and say, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And from there on in, I was ready to go out. You need luck, fortuitousness, but you better be prepared. I was well prepared for those times when I got lucky. Mm-hmm. I think that's the important thing. That's the only message I can give to anybody.
Yeah. It sounds as though the balance was there, not just professionally, but there was the right balance between your personal life and the pursuit of the career.
I guess. I
mean, you're married now, right? 50 years to the same person, so that's great.
50 years.
50 years. I mean, that's...
Who was a dancer at the Cape Cod Melody.
I read that.
Yes.
Something else I wasn't invited to.
Excuse me, singer. She was a singer. She was a dancer who had gotten a job as a singer to work on her singing.
I mean, how often do you hear? I mean, what better example of balance for a successful working actor than to have a successful personal life? I mean, obviously, everybody's life is peppered with all kinds of colors, right?
A lot of pepper.
Right. But salt, too.
Salt, too.
So, like everything, there are the ups and downs, and there are the lessons learned, and if hopefully we're better along the journey from these things.
I think that's all it amounts to, is to treat everyone as a learning experience and move on, and next time you know better, and watch.
You always have to be a student in a way, don't you?
Always a student, particularly when you're working with imaginative people. And I was in Bells Are Ringing, and they were putting a new number in. I was the understudy who had acceded to the role. I think I had my first agent, and Bobby Fosse came with Judy Holliday to work on this new number, and I didn't open my mouth. I just watched and listened, see how they approached it. Interesting part about it was, I think I had good teachers too, because they all approached it the same way, which was not the musical part of it, but what did the number mean in the show? What did the characters mean? Mm-hmm. How did it help? How did
the song move the story along?
And once you learn that that's the grabber, that the truth, that was Barney too.
Yeah.
Once you reach out to the fact that if you get reality, then a little humor becomes big, and a little song becomes big. Mm-hmm. But you gotta have that reality first.
Judy Holliday was an important person in your life, wasn't she?
The most generous actress I've ever worked with. Well, I was, as I said, you know, I'd never had no experience at all on Broadway.
Well, she was a mentor, really, before we knew what the word was in some respects.
Quick story. I went on, I joined the show on Monday and rehearsed with the stage manager through Friday. Saturday morning was my first understudy rehearsal, and Saturday afternoon I was on. Okay.
Like the Melody Tent days, almost.
Thank God for that experience. Did my first number, and Judy was standing in the wings. Judy Holliday, this wasn't chopped liver. Judy Holliday was standing in the wings watching me, and you know, and every time I got to laugh, she was got time to do Just in Time. Just in Time is a ballad where we just dance across the stage, from stage left to stage right. That
Beautiful.
was it. That's all you do. I just took her in my arms and sing in her ear. Just in time. And I did that. I took her in my arms and I started singing, just in time. I found you just in time. And all of a sudden I felt on my back her hand turning me, so that we were in a kind of awkward dancing position. But now I was facing downstage, not into the wings. She upstaged herself so that I would be able to sing out to the audience.
Extraordinary.
Because that was the moment. The moment was his, not hers. And she knew it. And she knew that the play hinges upon making each moment work, whether it's hers, whose ever. She did one scene with her back to the audience, totally with her back to the audience.
Well, also a competent enough person and performer to do that.
That too, but there's self-interest there. If the show works, she's the star. And the point is to make the show work. And if it took her upstaging herself to make that moment work, that's what she did. I had good teachers. Good teachers.
As important now as then.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Oh, definitely.
Always.
No question.
Thank you for sharing that moment. That's extraordinary. What a wonderful story. We're going to come back in segment 3 in just a moment, and we're going to talk theater. Mr. Hal Linden is in Los Angeles at the Odyssey Theater in a production of The Sunshine Boys, and we have a lot to talk about with theater. We are talking about inside the business of acting, and it is a sort of a different story on the inside as you kind of look back out, and I so appreciate you sharing your stories and your life or your career and your history with us. So we're going to come back for segment 3, and we hope that you will join us. In the meantime, additional information and resources are available at thebusinessofacting.com. I'm Brad Lemack in Los Angeles. We'll see you soon.